So, who was the person in front of me? I was so shocked that I couldn't say another word, and hurriedly made up an excuse to leave. Emma clenched her fists tightly, as if the only way she could summon the courage to say all this was by holding on to that movement. Her condition was clearly bad. After only a few short sentences, her forehead was drenched in cold sweat. I had so many guesses in my mind. I initially thought that maybe it was just someone who looked eerily similar to me, and that a conflict had happened between her and this person. But seeing Emma's reaction, I know Emma, and she is not someone who lacks courage. Her reaction was so genuine that it forced me to question, could it be that there's really someone out there who is exactly like me? I pushed down the overwhelming emotions building inside me, stepping forward and gently holding her clenched fist, trying to pull her out of the terror she was reliving. Her body trembled slightly as she glanced at me. I gave her a reassuring look. Her face softened a bit, and she exhaled slowly. At that moment, Anna, who had been silent the whole time, spoke up. I had my suspicions too. After Linda moved out, one night, just before they were about to close the dorm building doors, I got up to use the bathroom. When I came out, I saw you. She stared directly at me, signaling that you referred to me. You were fully dressed and ready to leave. I was surprised and asked where you were going so late. You said you had plans with a friend, that you had to go out. I told you the dorm was about to close, and if you left now, you probably wouldn't be able to get back into sleep. You told me not to worry, that you had a plan. After you left, I was actually worried and couldn't sleep. The dorm doors close at 11:30, and I kept track of the time, thinking that if you came back before then, you'd be fine. But you didn't come back, and I thought maybe you'd have to sleep at a hotel. The next morning, though, you got up from your bed as usual. I asked you where you had gone the night before. You told me you hadn't gone anywhere. It was like you didn't even remember we had talked the night before. I thought something was off, so I started watching you closely, and I realized that you sneaked out of the dorm nearly every night without waking anyone. The next morning, you always woke up on time as if nothing had happened. I've always wondered how you were getting back into the dorm. The doors had already been locked by the time you were out. That night, I heard snoring from your bed, and out of curiosity, I climbed up to check. I saw you sleeping, but just a minute ago, I had clearly seen you leave the dorm. Anna's words sent a chill down my spine. It was only then that I realized the me they saw was sharing the same bed as I was. She had been so close to me, yet I had no idea. A wave of panic surged through me. It felt like, without me knowing, another version of me had silently infiltrated every corner of my life. With a terrified tone, I asked, what exactly is that me? Out of the corner of my eye, I saw someone visibly shiver. Suddenly, it clicked. Right, the first person to apply to move out was her. I turned sharply to Linda. Linda, what about you? Why did you want to change rooms? Linda, looking like a frightened animal, was visibly flustered at my questioning. Her eyes darted around in a panic, unable to settle. Emma, noticing Linda's hesitation, spoke up to comfort her. Just say it. No one's going to think you're crazy. After all three of us saw it. It's not like we're all crazy, right? Linda still seemed scared, her teeth grinding against her lip as she nervously opened her mouth. What I saw was different from what you all saw. Her words instantly caught our attention. We all turned toward Linda, waiting for her to continue. Linda took a long moment to gather her thoughts. That day, Lily was washing her face in the dorm. She applied some face wash, then lowered her head to rinse her face. I saw her shadow in the mirror. She was looking down, but her shadow was staring right at her. I was squatting behind her, tying my shoelaces. When the shadow noticed I saw it, there was a moment of panic. The scene was so fragmented, Lily was focused on washing her face, but her shadow in the mirror was making eye contact with me. When she finished washing her face and lifted her head, the shadow returned to normal. Lily smiled at me, and the shadow in the mirror smiled back. I was so scared, I was drenched in cold sweat. I didn't dare tell anyone about this, for fear they'd think I was crazy. Linda's words hit me like a hammer, and my head began to spin. You're saying, my shadow is the problem? I asked. I don't know. Linda screamed, her voice rising. I'm just telling you what I saw. What's going on with you? I have no idea. Her reaction was intense, and I could tell she was starting to lose control. I understood, who could remain calm in the face of something like this? We all fell silent, each of us processing the situation in our own way. After a moment, I bowed to all three of them. I'm sorry. I've caused you all trouble. Thank you for telling me what happened. Now, at least I know I'm not deaf or blind. You guys made the right decision. If it were me, I would have done the same. I forced a smile, waved at them, and was about to turn away when Linda suddenly called out to me. Lily, there's one more thing. I stopped in my tracks. She hesitated for a few seconds, as if gathering the courage to continue. Anna doesn't know how you got back to the dorm. I know. I saw it with my own eyes. It was around 4 or 5 in the morning. You walked in from outside. The door was closed. You came through the door. I suddenly understood why Linda hesitated so much before speaking, because some things, once said, could easily make people doubt her mental state. No one wants to be thought of as crazy. At first, I thought the trouble I faced was just misunderstandings with my roommates. Now, I realize the real challenge is how to believe such an absurd truth and force myself to understand and think about it. I had to constantly remind myself that no one was crazy, including me. I stared at my reflection in the mirror. The me in the mirror stared back at me, unblinking. The longer I looked, the more I couldn't tell if her gaze was like mine. Was she studying me, or was I studying her? Goosebumps rose all over my body. I quickly turned my gaze away. But the me in the mirror mimicked my movements, presenting my panic and confusion clearly in front of me. That night, I was alone in the dorm. The me Emma had seen, the me Anna had mentioned, the me Linda was afraid of, could they all just be my shadow? If what they said was true, every night, another me would appear. What did that me want? Would she hurt me? It was 9 p.m., bedtime again. I forced myself not to fall asleep. But strangely, my eyelids felt so heavy, I couldn't lift them. I tried to keep my eyes open, but I found the drowsiness was like a swamp, relentlessly pulling my consciousness in, dragging it into thick, sticky sleep. I sensed an odd, eerie feeling in the air. I'm just used to going to bed early. I shouldn't be this sleepy, as if my eyes had to close immediately. I don't know how long I had slept, but in my days, I felt like something heavy was pressing down on my lower body, making it hard to move. I desperately opened my eyes, and what I saw froze me in fear. In the dark bed, there was another me, facing away, sitting on top of me. Her lower body was embedded in mine, merging with me. She was leaning down toward me, her back naturally pressing onto mine. Suddenly, her downward motion stopped. She seemed to sense I was awake, and her black hair subtly moved. In the dim light, she looked back at me. I saw a face that was exactly like mine. That face wore a smile that was almost mocking. Then, like a wave crashing into the sea, she fell into me. The heaviness vanished, and my body felt light again, my limbs finally able to move. However, I was drenched in sweat and had no trace of sleepiness left. During the break, a cup of coffee was placed in front of me. Groggily, I looked up and saw Emma's face. She pulled out a chair and sat beside me. She hesitated, her eyes full of concern. I forced a smile at her. I'm fine. What are you going to do? Emma asked. I leaned on my arm, unable to answer her question. I'll help you, Emma said. I thought I misheard her and propped my head up, staring at her blankly. Emma smiled at me. The counselor really asked me to fill out the form to change dorms today. I didn't fill it out. I plan to move back and stay with you again. Lily, I don't just see you as a roommate. I see you as a friend. A friend is in trouble. How can I just run away? That's not being loyal, right? I stared at Emma for a long while. To be honest, it felt like there was a saw in my chest, pulling back and forth. I struggled hard to force myself to remain rational, and finally spoke up to stop her. Emma, if I were you, I would choose to stay out of this. Right now, helping me is a bit too much of a friend over reasoned decision. We don't even know what the other me really is. We don't know what she wants to do. We don't know what we might be facing. Helping me might pull you into this, and that's not wise. Yeah, I get it, Emma said, crossing her arms, looking at me helplessly. But Lily, look at your dark circles. After just one night, you look like you haven't slept in 6 months. I can't just watch you alone, without anyone to help you figure things out. I just can't. Her words made my eyes well up in an instant. Stop with the nonsense, she winked at me with a carefree, playful smile. Most of the unknowns aren't as scary as we think. The reason they seem scary is just because we don't understand them yet. Maybe once we understand them, we'll realize they're not worth fearing. Lily, wasn't that the advice you gave me? I couldn't find the words. I reached out, hugged Emma tightly, and said sincerely, thank you. Emma hugged me back. Alright, no need to be all sentimental. Just tell me, what can I do to help? I calmed down and thought for a moment. There is one thing I need you to do for me. It's simple. Tonight, after she leaves, you must wake me up. Lily, wake up, wake up. With a violent shake, I was jerked out of my sleep. I opened my eyes, my mind slowly coming back, and the first thing I asked was, did she leave? Emma wiped the sweat from her forehead and plopped down on my bed. Lily, what's your sign? You sleep so deeply, I couldn't wake you up even when I called. I interrupted her, telling her to skip the small talk and get to the point. Emma dragged out her words in a long drawl. She left. I saw her leave with my own eyes. By the way, her words suddenly stopped. The abrupt pause made my heart skip a beat. Emma waited a moment before continuing. She asked me to tell you something. My heart skipped again. She asked Emma to deliver a message to me? I silently processed this information and asked, what did she say? Emma's mouth moved as if struggling to form the words. She said she's waiting for you at the bottom of the 4th teaching building. She wants to meet me? Before I could process this, Emma asked, Lily, should we go meet her? Not so fast, I replied. I need to confirm something first. I turned on my phone's flashlight, shielding part of the light with my finger, and looked at the wall. There was no shadow of my finger on the wall. Emma stared in disbelief at the scene. She hesitated before waving her own finger, and her shadow danced lively on the wall. Emma, tell me, what would the shadow do when it runs away from its owner? Emma didn't answer right away. For a moment, we both fell into deep thought. Emma, you're right. When facing the unknown, the first thing we should do is try to understand it. Only through understanding can we find ways to deal with it. You see, at least we've confirmed one thing, she is my shadow. My shadow isn't here right now, which means, whatever I do right now, she won't know about it, right?